Thank you, everybody. I'm so excited and happy to have my dear, dear soul sister, Tuck Self. She's been one of our soul family for over 6 to 7 years. She came here to Infinite Love with Simran Singh and again with her human design. And I did tell her that, she's going to come back, but I did not know it's going to be in these circumstances. But it's so wonderful to have you, Tuck. And it's beautiful circumstances that you are here with us and you are here to share with us the embodiment of a heart based prayer, which is so needed right now to deepen our self love, to deepen our life force, and to just deepen our self awareness. So I welcome you and so excited. Thank you.
Welcome. Yay.
You have a grounding, powerful, I'm going to use the word sweet voice that I'm challenged to come in behind you with my energy that's going to probably be over here and over here and then over here. So thank you for that grounding and introduction and welcome. I have to start by saying that I'm very proud of myself to be up, dressed like I am right now at 8:30 at night, and that usually at this time of the night, I'm in bed with my husband, Larry. I won't tell you what we're doing, but however, we're both here tonight. We're both tickled to be here tonight. And I'm thrilled to be able to share something that I'm passionate about. And I have the thought that as I am sharing this particular information on heart-based prayer, that it's not like I'm going to be telling you anything that you don't already know and that you haven't already heard. However, it's as if it's being packaged in an exciting and new and different kind of way. You mentioned a minute ago, so I wanted to do a little bit of, I'll say, shameless self-promotion. It's not about myself, but it's about the human energy design system. When I came to talk to you guys back in 2016, I did speak on the human energy design system. I'm not going to talk about that tonight. However, we may use the graphic, and based on this time of great change that we're in and based on the pandemic that we're going through, I feel compelled to give a shout out to the human energy design system because of what it's here to support each of us to be in this changing times. My experience of what we have been doing as, I'll just say, a human race, a human species, is that we have been conditioned and we've been taught to give our power over to external and outside authorities. At least that's what I was conditioned to do, to give it over to the healthcare industries, the educational industries, the banking industries, and the governments. And those systems are breaking down. All we have to do is look outside the window and we see those institutions, they're not there anymore. We're not able to depend on them. And as we go through this trying, changing time, what the universe is asking us to do is to come back home, to come back into ourselves. And the one thing that I know I have been honored to do with people around the human energy design system is to bring them back to their inner truth, to their inner guru, to their own answers. The great Joe Dispenza, and I know you guys are fans of Joe Dispenza, says that knowledge is power and knowledge about oneself is self-empowerment. And it is one of the most beautiful tools, strategies, and techniques. And I'll say an inner technology similar to the one that I will talk about tonight for self-empowerment. So that's my plug for human energy design and my love for it. I'm going to talk about prayer tonight. And the reason prayer came up for me was because of this time that we're going through. And I keep having people ask, I hear them ask the question, what am I able to do? As insignificant as I am with the significant thing that's going on in the world, what am I able to do for myself and what am I able to do for the world? I've been invited to groups like this one where hey, where we're collectively coming together as a group to hold a space energetically in order to create an effect in the conditions of the world. What I was feeling for myself was this need to go inward and a need to balance and harmonize the energies within myself, knowing that, so coming back home to myself again, knowing that as I balance my own energies, that I am then going to become that condition that I then walk out into the world, or as I become that condition, it's going to be reflected out in my world. So as people begin to ask, what can I do? What am I able to do? The word that came to me was choice. When I work with clients, the one thing that I experience from them over and over again is this real need to be in control, to know what they're doing, where they're going, how they're going to get there. And specifically in this time, you know, I hear people, they're concerned. My husband's concerned. Am I going to close a mortgage? Am I going to make the kind of money that I've been making? And people are rightfully unclear, unsure, and uncertain. The one thing that we all have the power to do is to choose, to choose how we think, to choose how we emote, and to choose how we feel. That's the one thing, the one way we can take our power back and have some sense of power and choice in our lives. The exciting thing to me is that this lost mode of prayer, this heart-based prayer that I'm going to speak to, has the components of thought, emotions, and feelings to it. So back in 2003, I don't know if any of you are lovers of Greg Braden. Are there any lovers of Greg Braden out in the world? Okay, good. Back in 2003, I was introduced to him through a CD called The Lost Mode of Prayer, the fifth mode of prayer. And basically that communication was that we have inside of us a technology and a technique that if we simply tap into it, we can move mountains, we can change our internal conditions, and we can change the external conditions of the world. And that lost mode of prayer is less of an outward way of praying, and it's more of an inward way of being. Much the same as when you introduced me, Malka, you were really in a state of prayer. You were in a state of being that was balanced, that was harmonious, and I could feel that. So what I discovered was Greg Braden spent almost 20 years of his life searching this lost mode of prayer and proving, and I'm not a religious scholar, like I'm not schooled in religion. However, he says this lost mode of prayer has been kept out of our scriptures. It was taken out of our texts so that there would be some degree of being able to control us, and we wouldn't have that sense of self-empowerment and handling and choosing how to behave using our own power. And he has actually discovered that in the monasteries of Tibet and even in the American Southwest, in the indigenous cultures, individuals are using what we call the fifth mode of prayer, this lost mode of prayer, this heart-based prayer, to ground themselves and to make things happen. So the first thing I'd love to say and then ask, prayer is personal to each one of us. Prayer is individual to each one of us. I was taught to pray based on the family that I grew up in, the religion that I was a part of, the culture that I came up in. And I was actually taught ceremonial prayer, ritualistic prayer. I would say, now lay me down to sleep, pray the Lord my soul to keep. And I actually thought "Fasha die" was the next line instead of "if I should die." I thought it was "Fasha die," whatever that means. And then there was "God is great, God is good." So that was the ritualistic prayer that I was raised in. And then I was raised to petition for myself or others and to ask for something that I didn't have. So those were the ways that I was taught to pray, which are two of the ways that we as a Western culture are taught to pray. As an adult, one of my favorite modus operandi and ways of praying is what I call meditative prayer. Beth, you'll love this, where I get to go out by the ocean and center myself and be and observe the presence of God, or to go out in nature with flowers. And then I do this thing called colloquial prayer, where I literally will walk around my house and God and I will have our own little private personal conversation. So I was curious from you guys, if you'll give it a shout out, what is your favorite mode of prayer, or the mode of prayer that in your life connects you to source? Just to give myself a pause of speaking and give you a chance to throw something out into the community while I take a sip of water. Favorite form of prayer? Don't all speak at once.
My favorite, which I've been doing lately a lot, is meditation with mantras. Mantra meditation. That's my mode.
And who said that?
Saju.
Gotcha.
And mine is meditation, and then just speaking with God, just having a conversation, but doing the meditation, connecting myself with the divine, and then having a conversation with the divine. And that's Malka. And mine is connecting with myself, the higher self, and meditation. And that's Alka.
And for Beth, it's going out early in the morning into nature and just being with the wild animals, the birds, and all of that.
Unmute everybody. Yeah.
And for me, Blanca, it's wake up in the morning real early before anyone else, and a prayer with God, and do affirmations.
Nice.
And for me, Lorraine, I'd have to say, since we've been confined to our homes, I'm appreciating the nature and getting out and taking that long, deep walk in the silence and nature. It's really made a difference.
I think Raki wanted to say something.
I was saying my way of praying is just praying to God, sitting there, talking with Him, surrendering what I need to say, and just accepting what He's ready to give me for that day.
Beautiful.
And for me, hi, it's Dina. Hi, Tuck. So good to see you. For me, it's just being in the energy of joy, like dancing, being in nature. And the biggest thing is being grateful. So, I mean, every time I take a breath, honestly, I don't feel not connected at any time. I'm swimming in the grace of the Creator, and that just keeps me going, and I love it.
I could ride the wave of your energy. Thank you. Thank you. That was beautiful. So it's interesting. Have you guys ever heard of the lost mode of prayer, or the fifth mode of prayer, this form of prayer that's been lost in the scriptures? Okay, good. Good. So this lost mode of prayer that was literally taken out of the scriptures is a prayer that is not so much about words. It's not so much about the outward expression. So, you know, the words that we use or going out into nature and, you know, integrating ourselves. It's not so much that as it is, we have been gifted and blessed and given a technology that lives inside every cell of our body. Now, Greg did write a book at one point in time that is fabulous if you can get through it, called The God Code, where he literally scientifically, spiritually proves that there is an essence of the Creator that lives in every cell of our body. However, for a heart-based prayer, I'm asking you to think of it as a technology that lives inside of you. And we are given the gift and the blessing of embodying those three components that I mentioned a minute ago that we actually have power over: thought, emotion, and feeling. So it's about an embodiment of the quality of our thoughts, the embodiment of the quality of our emotions, and the embodiment of the quality of our feelings, that when we bring those together, when they become one, and the thought and the emotion and the feeling is put into a directive and singular force of energy, we literally can say, as the scriptures say, mountain move, and the mountains move. I get excited and almost take it as a privilege that we have something accessible inside of us that gives us the freedom to create the conditions in our outer world based on how we create the conditions in our inner world. So have you guys heard the story about the Rainmaker?
Yes.
Who has not heard the story of the Rainmaker? Okay, good. I'll make it quick. So in the indigenous cultures, there was a village, and the village was under drought, say for 5 years, had not rained in the village for 5 years. The villagers were calling in rainmakers for rain to no avail. Last ditch effort, they called in a renowned rainmaker. He came in, set up his tent. I was going to say, just like I did in Girl Scouts, set up his tent, went into the tent for 4 days. And on the 5th day, the rains came. And so the villagers are going, oh my God, miracle of miracles. It is rain. The Rainmaker is a miracle worker. And they asked him, what did you do? And the Rainmaker's reply was, I did nothing. And the villager said, no, 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 we didn't have rain 5 years. You came, you went into the tent, the rains came. What did you do? And the Rainmaker said, I prayed rain. He said, when I came into your village, I came into an environment of imbalance. I came into an environment that was not in harmony. I came into an environment where there was fear, where there was worry, where there was anger, where there was regret, where there was hostility, where there was frustration. And I went into my tent and I aligned my thoughts, I aligned my emotions, I aligned and created a union with my feeling as if the rain was already here. And I aligned my energies with the forces of nature, and I aligned my energies with the divine. Doesn't that sound exciting, y'all? I think it does. So the simplicity of creating rain had everything to do with holding a particular quality of a thought, fueling that with an emotion, and creating that feeling in his body so that the rain happened. And again, that's the simplicity of our life. That's the simplicity of prayer. I actually believe that life is a walking prayer. It's not like I go do prayer. I become the prayer that I'm holding. And when I'm really present to what's happening, my life is a prayer. So I'm going to ask you, I don't know if you guys have anything that you can write on. If you don't, you may have to do this one in your head. My experience of the world right now is that same environment. It's an environment that's imbalanced. We live in a world of imbalance, right? We live in a world of fear and hostility and chaos. And we have an opportunity. The significant thing that we can do is each one of us bring ourselves into harmony and bring ourselves into balance through this heart-based prayer, which is the lost mode of prayer. So before you write this down, one thing to bring to your focus is the ancient Essenes who practiced this form of prayer actually had a couple of beliefs that I make up we believe today. We actually are high-minded enough, aware enough, expanded enough to hold some of the same beliefs that the ancient Essenes did. And number one, that is that the world is a mirror for our internal energy. However I'm holding my energy, the world is going to reflect that as a condition. So the world resonates with how I hold myself internally. That was the one thing, the first thing that the Essenes believed. The second was they believed that we lived in 3 expressions, in 3 dimensions. And those dimensions were the dimension of thought, the dimension of emotion, and the dimension of feeling. Therefore, when you reconcile those 3, when you are present to and expanding your awareness of those 3, and you know where they are and you bring them into a focused direction, again, you guys, imagine what it's like to say mountain move and the mountain move. This is where we're asked to walk by faith and not by sight and hold our energy as if it's already done. So am I the only one that gets excited by this, or are y'all excited too? Okay, I don't want to have this party by myself. Okay, so 2 thoughts. Write down one thought that you're having or that you've heard somebody around you have. Hey, Frida, that is a thought that comes from fear or anger about what's happening today. So, God, why is this happening to us now? What am I going to do if my money runs out? What am I going to do if something happens to my family member? You know, God dog it, why has our governor got to do this? So a thought form that comes from a place of fear or anger, write that down. And you'll hear me say quite often, there's a happy ending to every story. So even though I'm asking you to have a less than love thought, the second thought, have it be a thought of possibility, have it be a thought of love. Like, oh my gosh, I have had so much time to be with myself since this has occurred. So that's your second thought form. Is that clear? Yes.
The second thought form?
Okay. Yes. So you got two thought forms.
Unmute us, Vicky.
Huh?
We have a question.
Okay.
First thought form, first was to write down what your fear was.
A thought form of fear.
And
Yes.
what was the second one?
The second one, a high-minded thought form, a thought form that comes from love, a thought form that's coming from possibility. Did you hear that?
Yes.
Loud and clear.
Good. Okay, take those two thought forms, and now I want you to assign an emotion to that thought form. You got 4 choices. That thought form either makes you mad, it either scares you, makes you scared, it makes you sad, or it makes you glad. So write down one of those emotions with that thought form. And hold those close to your little side right now as I go through the 3 components that belong to this heart-based prayer so that you can see the choice and the power that you have with the thoughts that you have, the emotions that flood your body around that thought and the feeling that it creates, where you can create the external conditions of your life by how you're holding your energy internally. Okie dokie?
Yes.
Okay. You know, I'll yell if you don't keep up with me, or I don't know you're there. I have to know you're there. Okay, so first thing is a thought. Everything starts with a thought. This began with a thought. Flowers begin with a thought. I began with a thought. My desk begins with a thought. Everything and anything in our universe started as a thought. That's the first exciting thing. Now, as you think your thoughts, it's important to know that every thought that you think creates a neural pathway in your brain. So you are laying down the tracks with your thoughts. And every thought carries a chemical and an emotional component that is building your physiology, it's building your chemistry. And remember when I said, whatever it is you're doing to vibrate, you're going to take that condition out into the world. You're going to become that out into the world. So that is like note to self. Y'all know my last name is Self, so I say pun intended. Note to self, the thoughts that I am going to choose to think are going to be possibility thoughts. What are the possibilities for my life during this pandemic? What are the possibilities for my marriage during this time of great change? What is the possibility for how I'm serving during this time of great change? What will my life look like when we are no longer isolated? What is the greatest possibility for the greatest ideal of who every one of us can be? Does that not sound like happy to y'all? Does that not sound high-minded? When we hold those kinds of thoughts, we are running in the land of creativity. We are playing in the void. We are playing in the land of the unfamiliar. And I know all of the Joe Dispenza people will say to you, God does not create in the land of the familiar. He does not. Therefore, those thoughts of, if I don't close this mortgage, sorry, honey, if I don't close this mortgage, I'm not going to make any money. And if I don't do that, I'm going to have to take money out of my savings and I'm going to go broke. Your brain already knows the answers to all of those questions. It's been practicing that. It's been building the chemistry. And if you're not careful, husband, you are going to walk out into the world and create more of that reality. So high-minded thoughts. Are you with me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So remember I told you you have a lot of power with your choice. There is this thing called Tuvehum. It's in the Aramaic language. I could spell it for you, but I won't. What it says is that each of us have been implanted with a neurostructure by God that will guide us to happiness and well-being, given we do two things. We do the effective activities and we align ourselves with the divine. So I'm going to tell you how you have the power to do that with your thoughts. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. You get to choose every day, every moment of your life, the filter of your thoughts. And you have three choices. So know every day when you get up and you begin to think, you are setting your filter to one of three things. The first thing you can set it to is fear. Whatever you set your filter to, that is the experience of your life that you're going to create. Bar none, period. Filter, experience. So if you set your filter to fear, guess what? You're going to have the experience all day long of worry, anxiety, fret, confusion, doom, gloom, woe is me. That does not sound very happy, does it? The second filter is the filter of hostility. Given you set your filter to hostility, you're going to experience an angry world. You're going to experience a hostile world. You're going to experience festivity. And in fact, you're actually going to go out and look for people to piss you off because that's your filter. Remember, I said there's a happy ending to every story. So the third filter, what you have the power to do is to set your filter to love. And for the purposes of tonight, we're going to set it to infinite love. Given you set your filter to infinite love, the experience of your day, you all, is going to be love, empathy, compassion, harmony, balance, and all good things. So as you look at this component in this heart-based prayer called thought, two things: high-minded thoughts, thoughts of possibility, and set your filter to love. So look at your two questions, your two thought forms that you put down, and ask yourself, which filter does this thought form come from? Okay. You got to look down. So I'm looking at your thought form. Okay. All right. That's the thoughts that you think. Y'all still with me?
Yes. Yes. Okay, Chuck, we have like 5 minutes.
Okay, I will rush through emotions and feelings, okay? So emotion is the second component in this heart-based prayer. Emotions are the language of your spirit. The way we talk to spirit is through essence experiences and our emotions. Every time you have a thought, that thought actually has an electromagnetic component. We hear today, so does your heart, and it is 105,000 times stronger than what you're thinking. So you are going to flood your emotions with an attitude of gratitude, appreciation, compassion, and love, and open your heart while you're holding that high-minded thought from a filter of love. And then thirdly, the feeling component is simply a union of your thought and your emotion. It is a union of your thought and your emotion. So as Dr. Joe Dispenza brilliantly says, when you close your eyes and you break your agreement with your body, your environment, and your time, and you go into that field of all possibility, and you hold that thought, the thought of possibility from that filter of love, and you're flooding every cell in your body with the emotions of appreciation and gratitude, that condition that you choose to be in out in the world, you hold it, that it's already there. You're going to feel that in your body. You're going to feel it as already done. You're going to say, mountain, move. The mountain's going to move. You're going to create a state of being. You're going to create a vibratory template. You will become your prayer, and you will actually be a walking prayer. How's that?
Wonderful. Thank you. Can you open it? Awesome.
How's that? How much time we got?
Thank you so much.
We have 3 more minutes.
Okay, good. I'm gonna read a short quote because I love it and it has infinite love in it.
Aww.
This is by the great grandfather Whiteout, y'all. Unconditional love. I'm changing that. Infinite love is a human expression of the divine. It is the love of the Creator that is your birthright. When a relationship, when the world reflects this light of spirit, our soul shines like a beacon, directing your course through the turbulent energy that is our world. Doesn't that speak to infinite love? Thank y'all. Thank you for letting me share with you. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
So
Tuck.
beautiful.
Thank you. We're gonna go into meditation, Tuck. I hope
Thank
you
you,
can
Tuck.